Does Dr. Manhattan represent God? That's the question we're going to explore in today's video. Watchmen was created by writer Alan Moore and artist Dave Gibbons. It was published by DC Comics and released as a limited series from 1986 to 1987. The series garnered critical acclaim for its innovative storytelling, complex characters, and deconstruction of traditional superhero tropes. Alan Moore, known for his thought-provoking and often unconventional approach to storytelling, conceived Watchmen as a response to the prevailing superhero narratives of the time. He aimed to explore the moral complexities and psychological motivations of superheroes in a more realistic and nuanced manner. Watchmen challenged the notions of good versus evil by presenting flawed characters and examining the moral dilemmas they faced. The narrative of Watchmen is set in an alternate history where superheroes, known as costumed adventurers, exist and have significantly influenced world events. The story unfolds against the backdrop of a Cold War-era society on the brink of nuclear conflict. It delves into themes of power, ethics, identity, and the human condition. In 2009, Watchmen was adapted into a feature film directed by Zack Snyder. The film aimed to faithfully translate the source material onto the screen, capturing the gritty and dark atmosphere of the comic. Zack Snyder, known for his visually striking filmmaking style, sought to recreate the visual aesthetic and iconic moments of the comic. The Watchmen film maintained the core narrative and characters of the original series, while condensing and adapting certain elements for the cinematic medium. Some changes were made to streamline the story and enhance its cinematic impact, while still remaining faithful to the overall themes and tone of the source material. The film received mixed reviews, with some praising its visual fidelity and commitment to the original comic, while others felt it did not fully capture the depth and complexity of the source material. Nonetheless, it introduced Watchmen to a wider audience and sparked further discussions about its themes and ideas. Watchmen captivates audiences with its exploration of theological themes that go beyond traditional superhero narratives. At the heart of this exploration is the enigmatic character, Dr. Manhattan.
Reeling from this morning's announcement, possibly the most significant event.
Oh, God.
We repeat, the Superman exists, and he is American.
They call me Dr. Manhattan. They explain the name has been chosen for the ominous associations it will raise in America's enemies.
You see, at the time, I was misquoted. I never said the Superman exists and he is American. What I said was, God exists and he is American. Now, if you begin to feel an intense and crushing feeling of religious terror at the concept, don't be alarmed. That indicates only that you are still sane.
Dr. Manhattan's very existence challenges our understanding of God and the nature of human agency. Dr. Manhattan possesses godlike powers, making him nearly omniscient and omnipotent. His abilities to manipulate matter, time, and space raise profound questions about determinism and free will. Driven by his detachment from human emotions and his ability to perceive past, present, and future simultaneously, he forces us to confront existential dilemmas. Dr. Manhattan's detachment from humanity raises profound questions about the historic theological debates surrounding predestination and human moral agency. His perception of life as a series of predetermined events challenges traditional religious notions of personal agency and the interplay between human freedom and divine sovereignty. Dr. Manhattan confronts the belief in libertarian free will, which asserts that individuals have the ability to make choices independent of external influences. The implications of Dr. Manhattan's perspective call into question the extent to which human actions are truly free, and the role of God in shaping the course of our lives. It echoes the theological discussions throughout history regarding the balance between God's sovereignty and human responsibility. These debates go back to the time of Augustine and even beyond. Augustine emphasized the mysterious interplay between God's foreknowledge and human choice in his arguments with Pelagius. The theological tensions between divine providence and the free will of human beings have existed ever since. Such debates continue to ignite intellectual discourse and shape our understanding of the intricate relationship between divine sovereignty and human agency. Dr. Manhattan's blue, glowing form, his powers and abilities that seem to go beyond any conceivable DC comic hero, evoke comparisons to a modern-day deity. Others see him as a metaphor, the loss of faith, and the questioning of religious dogma. As theologian Paul Tillich once wrote, quote, "A symbol points beyond itself, that it is essentially more than it is in its immediate appearance." But what if Dr. Manhattan exposes our incorrect perceptions of what the word God even means by prioritizing modernist mischaracterizations of God as merely some superpowered ultimate being in an arena of other beings? Theologian David Bentley Hart might be helpful in this regard. Hart argues that the modern, post-Enlightenment mind has radically misunderstood what the word God even means. To Hart, the concept of God as actus purus is radically distinct from the character of Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen. God as the pure actuality, the ultimate reality devoid of any potentiality. To use the language of John Duns Scotus, a medieval Franciscan theologian who emphasized the idea of God as the ultimate reality upon which all existence depends, God is the ground of being, the fundamental ground that sustains and gives meaning to the created order. According to these more classical conceptions of God, God is infinitely transcendent, beyond time and space, eternally existing in perfect self-sufficiency. But this notion of God isn't just in classical Christian thought. You can find it in pre-modern Hinduism, where the understanding of God as the ultimate reality is often expressed through the concept of Brahman. Like the Christian notion of the ground of being, Brahman in Hinduism is seen as the foundational and fundamental reality that underlies and permeates all existence. It is the ultimate source from which everything arises and to which everything returns. You can find this conception of God in Islam, too. A prominent medieval Islamic theologian named Al-Ghazali emphasized the transcendence and absolute perfection of God. His works explored the idea of God as the necessary existence upon which all contingent beings depend. A similar concept can be found in the work of renowned Jewish philosopher and theologian Maimonides. God is the self-existent, eternal, and unchanging reality upon which all contingent beings depend. In contrast, Dr. Manhattan, despite his godlike powers, remains bound within the framework of time and space, subject to change and limitations. Dr. Manhattan is a finite being with human origins. He can create worlds, but he is not ontologically necessary. He too is contingent on some even more transcendent source of his being. Upon closer examination, the stark divergence between a finite, imperfect, and contingent being, as incredible as he is in Dr. Manhattan, and the divine, transcendent, perfect nature described by the great theologians and philosophers of the past, is readily evident. By exploring the theological and philosophical implications of Dr. Manhattan's existence, Watchmen challenges viewers to contemplate the moral responsibility that comes with ultimate power. Can a being with such godlike abilities truly comprehend and value human life? And if God transcends even Dr. Manhattan, is God even more indifferent to our suffering? Does the God of pure actuality not suffer? This offers us a moment of reflection on the distinct conceptions of God. Dr. Manhattan is written into a world where Christianity has been the predominant cultural religion, and at the center of the Christian narrative is the story of Christ, the suffering God in the flesh. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German pastor theologian and conspirator in an assassination plot against Hitler, once wrote that, quote, "Only a suffering God can help." In the detached and emotionally absent presentation of Dr. Manhattan as God, we also come face to face with our questions about what it means if God does not suffer with us in some way too. The other religious traditions may protest against this image of a God who suffers with a suffering world. Dr. Manhattan fails to represent Christian conceptions of God on two levels. Ultimately, he is neither transcendent enough nor immanent enough with humanity in participating in our suffering. He is a god in the mold of Zeus or Odin, albeit one that operates with a knowledge of general relativity and quantum physics that would be incomprehensible to the older pagan gods. In this way, Dr. Manhattan is a god, but with a lowercase g, transcending human potential and even perhaps going beyond the heights of Olympus. But he is no ontologically necessary ground of being. Watchmen causes us to confront our conceptions of God and raises challenging theological questions. If you want to see more videos exploring the philosophical and theological themes of Watchmen and other influential works of modern mythology and popular culture, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.